The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is out very soon, with Nintendo not giving us much time for speculation. Well, even before the trailer ended at the Nintendo Direct this summer, fans were already drawing up theories for where this game should fit into the Zelda timeline. Today, we're going to get stuck into that very question. As also, I've got some community suggestions as well, so we're going to dive into those too. So the big question is Echoes of Wisdom and the Zelda timeline. I could almost hear the groan in the distance there. Some people, they really like the Zelda timeline. Some people don't. Personally, I do think it's quite fun, so we're going to have a look at the Echoes of Wisdom placement today and where it might be relative to other Zelda games. So yes, the timeline isn't perfect. Sometimes it feels like Nintendo, they're just figuring it out as they go along rather than having some grand master plan. It is pretty all over the place, but I kind of like it that way, as within the disorganized and unexplainable elements, we can get into speculation. So I think there's three ways things could go with Echoes of Wisdom, and we're going to get into all of those today. We don't really have much information to go on at the moment. We've got a single trailer and a huge amount of speculation about the map and also the art style as well. But I do think there's some important details that we can glean from the information that we've got so far. But very, very briefly, let's recap the Zelda timelines. We start off pretty simple and linear. We've got Skyward Sword, the Minish Cap, Four Swords, and then Ocarina of Time. And at the end of Ocarina, this is where things get complicated and controversial. So after Ocarina of Time, it branches into Link is defeated, Link is successful, the child timeline, and Link is successful, the adult timeline. So in the Link is defeated branch, we then continue to A Link to the Past, Oracle of Ages, Link's Awakening, A Link Between Worlds, The Legend of Zelda, and then Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Then we've got the Link is successful child timeline, goes into Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and then Four Swords. Then you've got the Link is successful adult timeline, that goes from Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and finally, we've got Spirit Tracks. Well, if you're enjoying this video, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for even more Zelda content. And you can also turn on notifications to never miss an update, and stay tuned until the end of the video, where I've got an exclusive offer for channel members. Okay, with all of that information in mind, let's have a look at the placement of Echoes of Wisdom. So first of all, theory number one, it lies in the Link is defeated timeline, and it's a prequel to A Link to the Past. Well, the first theory here focuses on Link is defeated after Ocarina of Time. So Link is unsuccessful in defeating Ganon at the end of Ocarina. Link dies. Ganon steals the Triforce and gets sealed away in the Sacred Realm by the Seven Sages. Then years later, that leads us on to the events of A Link to the Past. Echoes of Wisdom could be a retelling of the origins of the Link is defeated branch to the timeline. We see Link getting sucked into the void in Echoes of Wisdom's trailer, and this could be the Link is defeated event, or at least a reimagining of Link being defeated, which ultimately leads us to A Link to the Past. Fans were quick to point out that the Hyrule in Echoes of Wisdom's trailer looks very similar to the Hyrule in A Link to the Past. Ganon in the trailer also looks very similar to Ganon in A Link to the Past, and Oracle of Ages and A Link Between Worlds. But there is one major issue with this theory, and that is Ganon is also defeated in the Echoes of Wisdom trailer. Link disposes of him before getting taken into the void and breaking Zelda free, with his potential last act before disappearing. And according to Hyrule Historia, Ganon's supposed to seize the Triforce, then the Seven Sages seal him away, and to be honest, it looks like he is being defeated rather than being successful. So this theory does have a lot of holes, so let's move on to the next theory. And theory number two is Link is defeated timeline, and this could be a Link's Awakening prequel. So this is on the same branch of the timeline, so Link is defeated, however the order is slightly different. So rather than being a prequel to A Link to the Past, it could be a prequel to Link's Awakening. Now, one of the biggest clues in this theory could be in the visual design itself, so Echoes of Wisdom looks very similar to Link's Awakening remake on Nintendo Switch that was released in 2019. Now, it could be for many reasons. Grezzo are likely the developer. They used this engine in the last game, and they also made the remake in the past. Now Nintendo, they've given them the freedom to make a new Zelda title, an original one at that, or Nintendo could be using the art style to link the games. Nintendo have done this in the past. They did a similar thing with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and also Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass as well. The Zora could be a clue to the timeline placement as well, so Echoes of Wisdom has got both River and Sea Zora, and this is something we haven't seen before, except, of course, in Oracle of Ages. Now, that game took place in Labrynna rather than Hyrule, and having both variants of Zora here could mean this game takes place after the Oracle games, but before Link's Awakening. But as before, there are issues with this timeline placement and also this theory as well. So for example, how did Ganon get out of the Sacred Realm before A Link Between Worlds? Where's the Deku Tree in A Link to the Past, given we can clearly see him here in Echoes of Wisdom? You would have thought if the Deku Tree existed, we would have gone to see him in A Link to the Past. Well, finally then, we've got theory number 3, and it could be a new timeline branch. So perhaps Echoes of Wisdom isn't on any of the existing Link is Defeated or Link is Successful timeline branches. Maybe it's on a new branch altogether. So we've got 2 branches for Link is Successful, and that goes off with the child and the adult versions of the timeline. But perhaps we get a new branch to the Link is Defeated timeline, and that starts a whole new Zelda branch, and that could help explain why Hyrule looks similar to A Link to the Past Hyrule, and why also Ganon looks the same too. So having a new timeline branch could be a very convenient way to explain things from Nintendo, but it also could be a new branch to the timeline that we could come back to in the future for Zelda to have her own adventures, given Link is gone. Now I would imagine, and I would probably bet, that Zelda is going to save Link at some point in this game, likely after the final boss, but an alternative to that could be this is a new branch to the timeline for Zelda herself, and Echoes of Wisdom could be the first of many games where Zelda is the main protagonist. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. I would love to hear what you think. Well, going into this video, I did put out a shout out to the community to see what they thought and where Echoes of Wisdom lies on the Zelda timeline, so I do have some community suggestions, so let's dive into those now. We've got Ancient Sheikah Gamer 1819, and they say the art style makes me think it's before or after Link's Awakening. But maybe the art style doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's after A Link to the Past, since Echoes of Wisdom uses an expanded map of it. I do think you're onto something there. I personally do think it's probably before Link's Awakening, and it exists in the same world as Link's Awakening. I think that art style does actually mean something. So thank you, Ancient Sheikah Gamer, really appreciate your comment. Next up we got Gabora, friend of the channel. Thank you, Gabora, really appreciate you writing in. Gabora says, either right before or right after Link's Awakening, as I believe this is the same Link from that game. So Gabora, I do think you are onto something there, and thank you as always for participating. Next up we got Chris Houlihan. So Chris, are you the real Chris Houlihan? But let's get on to your comment. So I will be intentionally ambiguous as to which timeline, mostly because Nintendo has already said they don't want the timeline to get in the way of future games. They will continue going in the direction of having them all combined to avoid creatives having to be Zelda historians as well. So you've got the Trident clearly becoming a big deal, like in the Four Swords Adventures of the Child timeline. There's also the Link to the Past Overworld with some alterations from the Defeat timeline. And you've got the sword looking like most of the Phantom sword from Phantom Hourglass from the adult timeline. Then you've got the art style of Link's Awakening, which is a dream world. You know, what if it's all Zelda's dream? Well, Chris Houlihan, you might be onto something there. It could all be a Zelda dream, and that would link up nicely with Link's Awakening. But once again, thank you for writing in. Really appreciate your comments. Well, next up we've got Daniel Malanen. So Daniel says, I don't know if it's a bad idea. Don't worry, Daniel, no ideas are bad ideas. Appreciate your comment. But Daniel says, but I would place it in the Downfall timeline as the very first game, and Echoes of Wisdom could tell it when the hero is defeated and Zelda has to take the place, because Link is now missing. This also means that Echoes of Wisdom Zelda is the same as Ocarina of Time Zelda, and Echoes of Wisdom would also explain why the Zoras in the Downfall timeline are different, and why also there's 2 different Zoras in the game. Well, Daniel, I do think you're onto something there. You've come up with something there which is very similar to theory number 1, and I really appreciate your comment. Next up, we got Royce Wise 2530, and Royce says, so after Link's Awakening and before A Link Between Worlds. So definitely think there's that common theme there emerging, that it's definitely something to do with Link's Awakening. Then finally, we've got Rothgang, and Rothgang says it's the latest adventure of A Link to the Past Link. Well, thank you, Rothgang. Really appreciate your comment. Not really sure. I think it's probably more tightly associated with Link's Awakening, but we are going to see. We don't have long to wait. This game comes out very soon, but let me know what you think in the comments. Where do you think Echoes of Wisdom fits in the Zelda timeline? But that is it for this video today of where does Echoes of Wisdom fit into the Zelda timeline, and as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget you can hit that subscribe button down below for even more Zelda content here on Triforce Times. And you can also like the video and share the video too. That would really help me out here on the channel. Well, thanks again, and I'll see you very soon. Well, this video is brought to you by Triforce Times Backstage. This is available through Patreon or YouTube membership, and you're going to get exclusive benefits, plus you'll be able to go above and beyond to support Triforce Times. Free content is core to Triforce Times, and you can continue to enjoy these videos that you know and love. However, if you want to enjoy the benefits like early access, our community Discord, shoutouts in the credits of videos, content polls and exclusive videos, then select the tier that is right for you and join Triforce Times Backstage today. So help me make Triforce Times be even bigger and better, plus you're going to get some added benefits for a small fee every month. Well, thank you for listening, and now it is time to go back to the video.